A couple weeks ago, I did part 1 of Triggering Every NFL Fanbase 2024 edition, and the video was a pretty big success. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for me to drop part 2 of that series, and well, now it's time for you guys to be rewarded because now it's here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of Triggering Every NFL Fanbase 2024 edition. Let's begin. Green Bay Packers. I know it's been said a lot of times, but I still can't believe that you guys had Aaron Rodgers as your starting quarterback at his peak for about a decade and a half, and only mustered one Super Bowl appearance out of those 15 years. How the heck does that even happen? You would think by sheer dumb luck you would at least stumble into 2 or 3 with a quarterback that good, but no, you guys messed it up and you wasted it. But again, I know a lot of Packers fans are probably used to hearing this, so you're a little bit numb to that Rodgers criticism now, even though I think these highlights of all your playoff losses from his time still sting a little if you're honest with yourself. But guess what? The Aaron Rodgers era is over. He's washed up. He's been gone for several seasons now. Jordan Love is now the quarterback of discussion in Green Bay, and he's gotten a lot of praise because, well, he followed Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, but so far, he's been just okay in his tenure as starting quarterback for the Packers. He has a tendency to start off season slow before getting on a hot streak at the end of the season. A lot of his production, though, seems to kind of be schemed, and he has a lot of dumb throws, and he already has a season-ending interception in a clutch moment in the playoffs, which came against the 49ers last year in the divisional round. If you're going to call yourself Title Town, you should probably have more than 2 championships since 1968, and that's what the Packers have. The Packers, very similar to the Celtics in the NBA, where a lot of their championships were in the Jim Crow era, segregation era, just really a lot of side-eyeing a lot of this crap. But the Packers are a franchise, they're a lot like the Rolling Stones or a 70s, 80s metal hair band that was really popular. They still draw ratings, they still do a pretty good job, but at the end of the day, are they the best? Very often, they are not. The video continues right after this. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, DraftKings Sportsbook. Hey football fans, there's only a few short weeks left in the season, and we've got some exciting wildcard games to look forward to now. Get in on the action right now with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Do not let this slip away. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using code BARRY. The crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code BARRY and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code BARRY only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Houston Texans. I'll just come out and say it. CJ Stroud, you son of a bitch. You fooled us all last year with that fluke Rookie of the Year season. I should have listened to my instincts when I said don't ever trust a quarterback from Ohio State. Just don't do it. Do not do it. And yeah, I was moved by his rookie season last year, but this year is a new year, and you talk about sophomore slumps. My God, CJ Stroud has had one of the most notable sophomore slumps among any quote-unquote great rookie quarterback that I can remember in recent memory. It's very Robert Griffin III-ish. I mean, just fall-offs in every single category, a lot of bad decision-making, just a complete regression from a really good rookie year. And that's not to say that he can't become good again, but let's be honest, if the Texans weren't in the terrible division they're in, they wouldn't be in the playoffs again this year. And speaking of the playoffs, CJ Stroud got a pass for his terrible performance in Baltimore last year in the divisional round when he led the Texans offense to 3 points versus the Ravens, but he got a pass for it. Well, it looks like that performance against the Ravens in the playoffs last year where he didn't do anything, it looks like that's the new normal. And Texans fans, you got stuck with another disappointment at quarterback. Who knows? Maybe Bryce Young will actually end up having a better career than CJ Stroud. That's something I never thought I would say a couple months ago, but with the way their careers are looking at this point in time, it might actually happen. Oh yeah, and by the way, you guys blew a 24-0 lead in a playoff game. You had a 24-0 lead in a playoff game that you lost by 20. I know that's it happened a couple years ago now, so people have forgotten about it, but I haven't forgotten about it, and you should be triggered about that, and you should feel very bad about that. Indianapolis. God, the Colts are so goddamn boring. They're just so boring. They're mediocre as hell. They've been this way ever since Andrew Luck quit on them after 2018. Now let's talk about Andrew Luck actually, because you look at these highlights, this guy should be playing quarterback for you right now, Colts fans. You guys should have been set at quarterback for the next 15 years when he got drafted, but he quit on you, so guess guess what? Now you're stuck with Anthony Richardson, who stinks. And really, all I can go off of is the past glory years, and the glory years in Colts universe is the Peyton Manning years where you guys won a whopping 1 championship in 13 years. That's something the Chiefs have already surpassed in the last 24 months. It's pretty incredible for how great Peyton Manning was, how huge of a playoff choker he was, but this has been talked about so many times and so often that probably Colts fans are numb to it by now. But I mean, really, what am I going to say? That Joe Flacco's not good? That their defense is mediocre? I mean, there's nothing exciting about the Colts to say. And that, in some ways, is actually worse, because at least when you had Peyton and Andrew Luck there were expectations of success. Now, nobody expects anything from you guys because you're irrelevant and you don't matter. If the Indianapolis Colts were removed from the NFL right now by Roger Goodell, I don't think anybody would care. Jacksonville, another terrible AFC South team that's really irrelevant in the big picture of things. Again, it's very, very difficult to try and trigger a fan base that knows their team sucks and really doesn't have anything going for it. So I guess I'll just play it safe and go after Trevor Lawrence, who's still, after being considered a generational prospect and somebody who you needed to tank for multiple seasons ahead of time in the draft because he was that much of a guarantee, still remains mediocre as shit after 4 seasons. He's got 1 playoff win. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, the Jaguars in the Trevor Lawrence era peaked. The peak of that was 2022 when you made it to the divisional round and you lost to the Chiefs. That's the high point. You guys play more games in London than you do in Jacksonville. I mean, you basically belong to England. I mean, so just go and fucking move the franchise over to England. Would anybody care? I don't even think Jaguars fans would care. I mean, you think about it, the best player in your franchise's history is probably Jimmy Smith, and he's a fucking drug addict and a criminal, or Fred Taylor, who is fragile as hell. I mean, his nickname was literally Fragile Fred. And again, those are the best players you guys have ever had. Oh yeah, and by the way, the city of Jacksonville sucks. It's a bunch of old people with saggy balls and skin and smells, and there's nothing to do. So fuck Jacksonville. Kansas City. For as successful as Mahomes has been, he already has a couple pretty big choke jobs on his resume. I'll give him a pass for the 2018 AFC Championship game when he put up 0 points in the first half, but then in the Super Bowl versus the Buccaneers, he only put up 9 points and he got embarrassed. But his most embarrassing loss to me is the AFC Championship game versus the Bengals in 2021, his last playoff loss, because it gave Joe Burrow and the Bengals some legitimacy they really didn't deserve, and that also was a massive missed opportunity. So really, even though Mahomes has 3 rings already, it should be more like 4 or 5. But this is the one thing that disturbs me the most about Mahomes, and he got a pass for it last year because he went on to win the Super Bowl. But his numbers last year in the regular season were very pedestrian, and then he came back in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl and got the Super Bowl MVP, and everyone was like, oh, well, he'll be fine. He'll go back to his normal stuff this year. And his numbers this year were even worse. And I just got to say, as somebody who is desperately wanting for a quarterback to surpass Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time, I didn't fucking hitch my wagon to you just for you to put up Matt Hasselbeck numbers in the regular season, motherfucker. Get your fucking head out of your ass and start producing more MVPs. God damn it! Folks, again, I apologize. I got a little bit upset there. Didn't mean to. Got a little bit carried away. It's not going to happen again. But seriously, Patrick, start producing in the regular season again. It's embarrassing. Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Jesus Christ. What do I have to say about Las Vegas? The Raiders mean nothing. And it's sad because this is a franchise that used to actually mean something back in the 70s and 80s when women were growing out their bushes. But outside of a 3-year span from 2000 to 2002, which included the Tuck Rule, the Raiders, you guys have just been irrelevant. I guess the only way I can really try and trigger you, I mean, what am I going to say? That Aiden O'Connell sucks? That Brock Bowers is a reception merchant? Like, what do you want me to say? Max Crosby's a drug addict? Like, I don't know. What can I say? You guys don't have a lot going for you. I will say this. John Madden was a postseason choker, even though we all love him and we're thankful for the video games that he puts out every year that are basically the same thing, just repackaged, and all you suckers keep buying it. But yeah, if you're a Raiders fan and you still paint your face and you wear shoulder pads and stuff, grow up, get a life, and just start doing something productive with your life. LA Chargers. Congratulations, Chargers. Your head coach is a cheater. He's a cheater, and he's also a fucking liar who insulted all of our intelligence by lying to our faces and saying he had nothing to do with the sign-stealing scandal in Michigan last year, which is the only reason why he ever came close to a national championship, because before he started cheating as blatantly as he did when he was coaching at Michigan were underachievers and they didn't win anything. So now, after he wins a national championship, he came to your team, and what? You guys are probably at best going to be a divisional round exit. And Justin Herbert is still, as of this recording, still looking for his first playoff win. He could have had it a couple years ago if he didn't blow, a 24-point lead, was it? 28-point lead against the fucking Jaguars of all teams. But Herbert, at this point, should be in discussion. Good player, but he should be in discussion as one of the best quarterbacks, 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league. And he's not, at least at the point that we thought he was going to be. He benefited from a elite defense this year. Again, good quarterback. I'm not going to come up here and lie and say that he sucks, but I thought by now he'd have a couple MVPs and a couple playoff wins at least. I mean, he has fewer playoff wins than Rex Grossman and Tim Tebow as of this recording, which is really just disappointing and disgusting if you think about it. Oh yeah, and Marlon McCree still exists. Yes, the Marlon McCree fumble. I know that a lot of you, that might be some whiplash, but a lot of you Chargers fans, all 30 of you out there, are probably too young to remember that. LA Rams. Hey, remember when the Rams won the Super Bowl a couple years ago? Yeah, me neither. Nobody talks about it, and rightfully so, because it was a bot championship. It was a fluke. They won that Super Bowl, but how about the Super Bowls they lost against the Patriots and Tom Brady? Yeah, they really set back civilization a couple decades rather, by allowing Tom Brady to win multiple Super Bowls where he scored just 13 points on 11 possessions. It's still disgusting. But then even last year, we talk about last year, the Rams, you guys made the playoffs again last year after he went 5-12 as the defending Super Bowl champions, literally the worst defending Super Bowl champions ever. Last year, you're in Detroit. You had great opportunities to potentially win the game in the final quarter, and you didn't. You fucked it up, and you ended up going out as a wild card team. And guess what? You kind of made it lucky again this year. You made it back to the playoffs this year. Who knows? Oh, you're the popular dark horse pick. Guess what? Okay, I understand he won the Super Bowl. So did Trent Dilfer. But Matthew Stafford is a loser. Matthew Stafford's a career loser. He's always been a loser. At no point in his career, which is now 16 years in the NFL, he's never had a winning career record, okay? This is a guy that is going to set the career losses record for starting quarterbacks if he plays a couple more seasons in NFL history. The guy is just a loser outside of 1 year out of 16. So do I think that the Rams, that you guys have any chance of winning another Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford under center? Absolutely fucking not. Miami Dolphins. Oh, how do I make fun of Miami or trigger Dolphins fans? You guys haven't literally done anything in the last 50 years. The last time you won a Super Bowl was in 1973. Wilt Chamberlain was an active NBA player at that point in time, just to give you a measure. The last time you made a Super Bowl was 1984. The last time you made a conference championship game was 1992, which is longer than the Dallas Cowboys, which is insulting, really. That's honestly the most triggering thing I'll probably say in this entire segment. Somehow your quarterback loves concussions so much he got concussed by a ghost. That's right, as you can see in this photo, Tua Tagovailoa became the first person to ever get concussed by a ghost. Hell, the last time that your shitty joke of a franchise won a playoff game, the Twin Towers were still standing. I understand that Don Shula is considered one of the greatest coaches of all time, but here's the thing, Don Shula was a choker. Don Shula, 2-4 career record in the Super Bowl. You'll always have that overrated 17-0 season where their strength of schedule was a complete joke, and he got 2 Super Bowl rings, which again is better than nothing, but still, you're talking about a guy, he coached for what, 30 years as a head coach? The last 22 years of his career, which included having Dan Marino for the entirety or for most of his career and all of his prime, he had 0 championships. We talk about coaches like Mike Tomlin going 5 or 6 years without winning a playoff game. Don Shula didn't win a fucking championship the last 22 years he was with the Dolphins. Talk about job security. And speaking of Dan Marino, look, I love Dan Marino. I love watching him play, but he was essentially, and I hate saying this, but he was essentially a glorified Phillip Rivers. Every time this guy got to the playoffs, his team got blown out and he would not perform the level that he should have, or at least that he was in the regular season. And even in the regular season, after his first 4 or 5 seasons, he was just merely a great quarterback, but not the GOAT level that he had his first 4 or 5 years. So in a way, Dan Marino, a little bit overrated, even though he didn't win any championships, which is pretty hard to do. It's actually impressive to be overrated without winning any championships. So Shula and Marino are both overrated. Perfect season's overrated. And that's the only things that you guys have to hang your hat on if you're a Dolphins fan. So congratulations, you suck. Minnesota. I've always said this, Minnesota, statistically in terms of winning percentage, you guys are the best team in NFL history that still does not have a Super Bowl championship on your resume. But the thing that I always found hilarious about the Vikings is you guys have had so many playoff failures failures, and you guys have fallen on your face so many times in the postseason that everybody associates you with losing in the conference championship game, which is something that you guys have done with a lot of frequency. But it makes people forget that in the 60s and 70s, your franchise was the original Buffalo Bills. You went 0 for 4 in the Super Bowl, and the last time you even made the Super Bowl was 1976. But only people who are in nursing homes remember that shit. And also me, because I'm an NFL historian and expert. But again, we talk about the Gary Anderson field goal in 98, losing 41-0 to the Giants in 2000, which honestly doesn't get talked about as much as it should. Then, of course, you got the Brett Favre interception versus New Orleans, and then you got getting blown out by the Eagles in the NFC Championship game in 2017, and then you have the Blair Walsh kick. 2003, your team started 6-0, missed the playoffs. But really the thing, because the Vikings, and your Vikings fans I know out there, you guys really focus and obsess over individual players at skill positions like Randy Moss and now Justin Jefferson. And even this year, because you guys had a fluke season this year, a Fugazi season this year, Vikings fans love to say that Randy Moss is the best receiver of all time. He's not the best receiver of all time. He can't even hold Jerry Rice's jockstrap. Randy Moss was done being a good receiver at the age of 32. Jerry Rice was producing 1,000-yard seasons into his 40s, okay? It's not even a contest. But that's in the past. How about now? Now, you have one of the best receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson, and you guys obsess over Justin Jefferson. But guess what? Justin Jefferson is not even the best receiver in the league. He's not even the best receiver to come out of LSU into the league in the last 5 years. That belongs to Jamar Chase, who just won the trip round this year in terms of receiving. And also from a historical perspective, Justin Jefferson has played 77 career games thus far, and he's not even top 28 in terms of touchdown catches through 77 career games. He's a little bit shy and scared of the end zone. Great player, but stop saying he's the best receiver in the league when he's not. I cannot wait to watch you fall on your face into a pile of shit once again in the postseason this year, and then get rid of Sam Darnold and rely on J.J. McCarthy, who's going to be a massive draft bust.